Welcome to the meeting of Warwick District Council on 22nd October 2025 at the Town Hall, Royal Leamington Spa. My name is Naveen Tangri, Chairman of Warwick District Council. I will now read the emergency procedure. There are no planned tests of the emergency alarm. If the alarm does sound, everyone present must leave by the designated exit route via the main reception. If the preferred route is blocked, use the nearest signed alternative route. Do not use the lift. Everyone must assemble at a designated point, which is on Regent Grove. Members of the public and press should report to a member of a reception team who will be wearing yellow fluorescent jackets. Councillors and officers should report to the committee officer. Please do not enter the building until the fire officer advises that it is safe to do so. Item 1, apologies. I have apologies for absence from Councillor Brown, Collins, Councillor Day, and Councillor Jones. Are there any further apologies for absence? No. Okay. Item 2, declaration of interest. Are there any? No. Thank you. Item 3, minutes to approve the minutes of 4th of September. Please, can I have a proposer and seconder for the minutes of 4th of September council meeting? Can I have speakers? Councillor Davison, Councillor King. We'll take a vote on this, please. Thank you. Can I have a proposer and seconder for the minutes of 1st of October council meeting? Councillor Davison, Councillor King, Councillor Martin. Can I take the vote on this, please? Thank you. Communication and short announcements, last one, item 4. Firstly, I would like to thank Councillor Redford for the chairing the last council meeting in my absence. Thank you, Councillor Redford, on that one. And I also like to welcome Councillor Alison Firth for the first meeting. Welcome to the council. Since we last met, I have attended 22 events in my role as chairman. One particular highlight was hosting the civic reception on the 3rd of October, where we honored several of the district unsung heroes and awarded the title of Freemen and Freewomen of the district to individuals who have made outstanding contributions to our community. It was truly uplifting evening, and those recognized were incredibly humbled and thankful for the appreciation shown to them by the council and the wider community. I also had the pleasure of attending the Diwali Light Switch On, which was a joyful and well-attended event. Diwali, the festival of lights, reminds us the power of light over darkness and importance of togetherness, reflection, and hope. I wish a very happy Diwali to all who were celebrating across the district. I would also like to sincerely thank to Councillor Yella Pragada for the kindly providing refreshment for this evening's meeting. I now invite her to say a few words.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with a short Sanskrit shloka or poem that reflects the spirit of Deepavali and is most appropriate to us all councillors. Sahana bhavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahai. It's in Sanskrit. It means, may we be together. May we work together with great energy. May we understand, or may our understanding be filled with light. And may we not harbor ill will toward one another. These timeless words beautifully capture the essence of Deepavali and our working relationship among us as councillors. On Deepavali, we celebrate victory of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, and unity over division. as we light lamps in our homes and also in our hearts to remind us of our shared purpose, that is to serve our residents and spread kindness, wisdom, and hope in our communities. Diwali is not just a celebration of one faith tradition, it is a universal message that even in challenging times, light and goodness can prevail. I wish you all a very happy and peaceful and bright Deepavali. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Yella Prakada. The next item is petitions, and item 5. I can confirm that I have no business on the agenda under item 5, petitions. Notice of motion, I can confirm I have no business on the agenda under item 6, notice of motion. Leader and portfolio holder statements, leader and portfolio. So can I ask each portfolio holder? So I'll start with Councillor Billiard, if she can make a statement. Leader and arts, culture and economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. I gave a lengthy portfolio holder update at the recent meeting of Council on the 1st of October, so there is little new information that I need to add now. In respect of the future funding for Shakespeare's England, members of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee will recall that they discussed the future of Council support for Shakespeare's England at its meeting in July. A report on this matter will be going to Cabinet in November. To assist this, we have received the latest Tourism Economic Impact Assessment, which we will be bringing to the report in full to Cabinet. I can let you know that this does show growth in the value and importance of the visitor economy to Warwick District. Figures both for the value of tourism to the district and the number of tourism-related jobs have grown significantly over the 12 months from the end of 2023 to the end of 2024. Notwithstanding that the Overview and Scrutiny Committee looked in some detail at the digital marketing and social media streams of Shakespeare's England work, I would like to understand these a little more. So I'm meeting with Shakespeare's England to discuss these further before the Cabinet report is finalised. And finally, I'd just like to reaffirm my thanks to the events team for their work on both the VE Day and VJ Day events, and for supporting the incredible Diwali event held last weekend, where the Diwali light was switched on, bringing the whole community together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Billet. Next one is decarbonisation, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. A brief update on our strong progress in decarbonisation. I told the Council at the last meeting about the Warm Homes Wave 3 grant, which is about improving the carbon efficiency of our own council homes. That's now started. 43 homes have been assessed, 18 have been identified as moving into phase 1 works, and that includes loft, insulation, solar panels and ventilation upgrades. And our Warm Homes local grant is also on track to exceed its target, with over 300 residents already being contacted by Act on Energy. I mentioned the Heart of England Community Energy Solar Loan. That's all prepared and ready for signature now, so that will unlock new installations at the Royal Spa Centre, Althorpe Hub and Spencer Yard early in the new year. And at Castle Farm, a 90 kilowatt solar array is scheduled to be installed before Christmas, cutting the emissions by 16 tonnes per year. As we know, at Leys and Rouncil Lane, Cabinet have directed the team to bring forward a business case for low carbon homes that exceed the minimum standards supported by local growth initiative funding. And at Abbey Fields, the Cabinet has agreed to progress the detailed design of a new shared path, ensuring safety for all park users. We also celebrated and sold out our Warwickshire Climate Engagement event at Leamington Spa Town Hall here, which was a day of workshops and collaboration to drive community-led climate action. And I'd just really like to say thank you and congratulations to the officers for actually preparing and delivering that fantastic event. So I think these projects put together show real progress warmer homes, safer routes and a cleaner, greener future for our community. And I'd like to thank everybody involved in delivering the progress to date.
Thanks, Councillor Williams. Next one is Housing, Councillor Melrose, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to announce that Warwick District Council's passed a milestone of taking ownership of its 100th house at Crewe Lane. The milestone reflects, years of dedicated work by officers, partners and councillors. Housing delivery of this scale is a result of consistent effort and collaboration over several years and several administrations. There's a load of people we can thank for their hard work throughout, but there's three in particular we'd like to thank, which is Becky North, Abby Smith and Gemma Weller, who have been instrumental to getting us to this milestone. Additionally, the council has completed its Local Authority Housing Fund Round 3 project, delivering 4 properties. This is a national government programme supports councils providing high-quality temporary accommodation homes for those most in need, including homeless families and individuals or families arriving under the Afghan Citizens Resettlement Scheme and Afghans Relocations Assistance Policy. Turning to the tenant satisfaction measures, although these reflect past performance, the latest results show clear improvement in our housing. So far this year, 437 surveys have been completed, which is 73% of our annual target of 600. Overall satisfaction has risen by 31.8% from 58 to 76%, exceeding the national median of 72.5% reported by Housemark, which works across social housing providers. This demonstrates the actions and activities that are going on are making a tangible difference. The next steps are to include a refresh of our engagement strategy action plan, which is to be discussed at Housing Scrutiny in December. In the meantime, I think it's important to share this positive feedback with residents via our communication channels. I do want to highlight Homes England's engagement events at Kenilworth school sites. The first took place this week with several residents and councillors attending, with the next one being tomorrow at the Kenilworth Centre from 3 to 7 p.m. I encourage people to attend and speak directly to Homes England about their work, but I should clarify, because I think a few people have been confused. Homes England is an independent agency and their engagement regarding the Lays Lane site is separate from a council consultation. So in summary, housing's making steady progress, houses are being delivered and we're improving satisfaction rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Melrose. Next one is Neighbourhood Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. No statement from me tonight.
Thank you. The next one is People and Organisation Development, Councillor Davidson.
Thank you, Chair. No statement from me except to say that officers are working on a report about suspending the use of X, and I'll provide an update next time.
Thank you. The next one is Place, Councillor King.
Thank you, Chair. I have had a few questions fired at me. I have posted them, but I will summarise to do justice to those councillors who have asked the questions. Councillor Davison asked some questions regards solar farms and the development of the local plan. One of these questions was, how do we plan to assist in the identification and development of suitable sites for renewable energy? This issue was being looked at specifically by consultants Arup, but not to officers' satisfaction, and so Bioregional was subsequently engaged, whose work is not yet complete, but which will give us a much better insight into which sites are more suitable, i.e. the quality of agricultural land, proximity to the grid, and so forth. And as part of the same question, is there anything in the SWLP draft about the prevention of the massing of solar sites? But that will be included in the consultation work about suitability of where these sites come. How are we ensuring proposals work for the whole community? Proposals will be supported which provide for a community benefit in terms of either profit sharing or a proportion of community ownership, or deliver local social and community benefits. Developers might choose to bring such a plan forward following discussions with the local community. How are we ensuring greyfield sites are favoured? Ground-mounted solar energy proposals will be supported.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think this will be covered in next item. Is that okay if we go through that item?
Fine.
Thank you.
And I have another question, separate question. Is that also going to be?
Oh, okay, yeah, carry on. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I want to say the questions is the next item, so we
Okay.
can all go through all the
Fair enough.
questions you have.
Okay.
Thank you.
My mistake, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor King. The next one is for resources, Councillor Chilvers.
I'm not going to add much more to my previous statement a couple of weeks ago. As you know, I like to try and keep you abreast of what's going on in the budget process at this time of year. So behind the scenes at the moment, officers and senior managers have submitted budget growth requests or requests that for the coming year. And now that's in the hands of senior leadership team to kind of whittle down about what would actually help the council be more efficient and deliver and invest to save, or what the highest priority things are. And that's in preparation for the kind of that baseline budget that will come in December, that will come to December Cabinet, which will be before we hear about the settlement. But it's to kind of make sure we're properly prepared so that when the settlement comes along, we know where we're starting and we can see sort of what those, then we can assess the political choices of spend early in the new year. So that's kind of the current state of play. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chilvers. Next one is Safer, Healthier and Active Community, Councillor Sinnott.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with an old favourite, but maybe we've got a positive spin on it this time. Heathcote, flies and odour. Thanks to strong partnership working between our council officers and the new lead case officer at the Environment Agency, we have made real progress. Complaints have reduced significantly since early September when a blockage was identified. Permanent solutions are now being developed. In the meantime, I encourage residents to continue reporting any ongoing issues as we finalise the action plan. Could this be the green, vibrant shoots that we can see? Well, let's hope so. Councillor Barton taking note over there. Priory Pools Community Centre. The fundraising appeal launched in March has now reached £1.68 million, supported by an impressive range of contributors. First among them was Warwick District Council with the initial £250,000. There is now a neighbourhood push to raise a further £20,000 locally. It's all taking shape, positive steps. Taxis and licensing. Our licensing team recently joined colleagues from Wolverhampton's Compliance Department for a joint operation in Leamington. Another example of effective partnership working to ensure private hire drivers meet their licence conditions wherever they are licensed. A total of 27 vehicles were inspected, covering both out-of-district and locally licensed drivers. One driver was suspended, with all findings being followed up. Community Connector at the Lillington Hub. Kira Bell, our Community Connector, is forging networks that neither we nor the original plans could have anticipated, joining the dots within the community and having tangible impact. A full update is far too long for this evening, but the direction of travel is excellent. I'll happily share that by email. John Barnett, the man, the myth, the legends. After 15 years with WDC, John will be leaving us next month for pastures anew. I know the whole chamber will join me in thanking Mr. Community Safety for his service and wishing him well in his next chapter. Big shoes to fill. In closing, from a portfolio that is a mile wide and my knowledge that is an inch deep, I'm constantly reminded how complex people-based services are. This isn't an engineering project, it's more like gardening. Finding that Goldilocks zone, not too hot, not too cold, not too wet, not too dry, so that vibrant communities can thrive. Our officers strike that balance every day, and bravo to them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sinnott. The last one is Strategic Leadership, Councillor Davison.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to just briefly mention three major work streams. Councillor King and I are doing all we can to progress the local plan timetable. Those of you at yesterday's briefing will know there are considerable challenges in submitting the local plan before the government's deadline of December 2026. If this deadline is missed, we need to follow the new process, which is likely to lead to further delays. A key issue is that many other councils are in a similar position, so too many councils are chasing too few expert consultants to provide crucial information. Similarly, it may be challenging for Warwickshire County Council's Highways Department to complete transport modelling in a timely manner. Second one, it's nearly 2 years since we formally agreed the Council's corporate strategy to make the district a great place to live, work and visit by improving lives and our environment. Our review of it is soon to be published, and I'm pleased about the rigour and openness with which officers are undertaking this review. There's plenty to celebrate, much to refine and refocus, and a few things that may be stopped. Of course, significant changes in emphasis in the corporate strategy will be due to the third major work stream, which is local government reorganisation. There will be an extra overview and scrutiny on the 11th of November, followed by Cabinet and full Council on the 12th. I'm happy to answer questions on these and other issues, although of course each of these is changing fast. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Davison. I would like to thank all the councillors for their portfolio statements, and also please can you email your statements to all councillors and committee services. Next item is item 8, question to the leader and portfolio holder. As set out in the procedure rule, up to 1 hour and 20 minutes permitted to ask questions under this item. I do have discretion to extend this time, and I will be mindful of my request not to ask questions under the previous item. Before I ask for question, I would like to remind council of the council procedure rules regarding questions to the leader and portfolio holder, which dictates that question must relate to the exercise of any of the functions of the council. The chair of the council, after consultation with chief exec and acting reasonably, has the power to exclude any questions or supplementary which has they consider already been answered either in the meeting or previously, is not relevant to the council business, or is unsuitable. Can I ask for the speakers, please? Councillor Kohler. Councillor Knight, Councillor Davidson. Okay. Starting with Councillor Kohler.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've got two questions. The first is to Councillor Davison. Responding to your statement there about the South Warwickshire local plan, you highlighted two aspects. You highlighted the cliff edge in December 2026, and you also highlighted that it may be challenging for the County Council to complete their transport modelling in a timely manner. Are you trying to break to us very gently that the local plan submission may not have a complete set of transport modelling to accompany it?
I hope I'm not saying that. I am saying that it is a high risk rating as I see it, and it is a crucial part of the work we do, and that we're working really hard to ensure it is done in time. I'm pleased to say that our Chief Executive, Chris Elliott, is being more involved than he normally does, and he may want to say a few words in addition in terms of, obviously, there are lots of steps and lots of negotiations, and we can't go through that all now. But yes, it's working hard to avert the issues that you're raising.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, just to say, I'll don my old planning hat on, and I think just to discuss with colleagues to see what we can do to kind of reduce the risk. I think that's probably the best way to express it. There are clearly lots of stages in a local plan process, and as a forewarning, every process of simplification has only ever made planning more complex, in my view. But notwithstanding that, is to look at what we can and need to do in order to make sure we have a robust local plan, because you could do a local plan now, but if you know, it needs to be worth the paper it's written on to do it. So just hitting the target isn't the only thing. You also need to make sure that what the document is saying and the policies and the evidence and support of it all need to be robust. If not, then it's pointless. You're wasting money. So we need to make sure that we, as two councils, have got all of that right, but equally looking at, well, are there some practical things that we could do maybe a little bit differently? And also what I'm saying is, well, as a chief executive, if there is a problem somewhere else in the overall system, then actually escalate it to me and I will go and sort it, if you like, and try and clear that blockage out so that we can get the resource, we can get the time, we can get the information to be able to, as opposed to put a plan together and for you as members then to be able to consider it. So that's the job. Thank you.
Thank you. The second question is to Councillor Melrose. So I've been working on a piece of casework where one of our contractors clearing a flat caused water damage to the flat below, and we are now making the resident complete an insurance claim to our insurer, and basically allowing our insurer to determine the timeline for when that is resolved. So my question is this official council policy to effectively outsource the determination of any claim in this way, even where there is no dispute that, you know, we are at fault, it was our contractor, we need to make it right?
Thank you for that question. Thank you for advance. I did go and speak to the interim head of housing because from your initial question, I knew there was some details I didn't know. So I have discussed, and basically this is the correct process, as been followed in this matter of your specific case, and it is a case-by-case circumstances. There have been cases where a council tenant has done something which has caused damage to another property. They have followed also the insurance claims of that determination. So there is insurance policy that is on the internet for councillors to go see, but yes, the process was followed correctly.
Thank you. If I may, I do understand that there are circumstances whereby residents should be able to make claims against our insurance policy, but it seems in a case where it's cut and dried, you know, our contractor caused the damage, the water damage, and it just means that this incident took place in May. It's taking 5 months to get this resident's floor sorted. It just seems unacceptable. So could we have a follow-up conversation about it, please?
I'm happy to have a follow-up conversation with you.
Thank you, Councillor Calder. Councillor Richard Dixon.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question for Councillor Sinnott. Councillor Sinnott, you and I, together with Councillor Hales, were in a meeting today at Castle Farm Leisure Centre with representatives from 3 local football clubs, Leek Wootton United, Kenilworth Town and Kenilworth Wardens, together with representatives from the leisure team and also the parking team. This follows the introduction of more flexible start times for the football, which I'm sure you were glad to hear seems to have alleviated the Saturday morning problems that have existed in the Castle Farm area for the best part of 12 months. My question, however, relates to when the new swimming pools open in Abbey Fields, which is currently scheduled for 6 months' time in April 2026. I was wondering what lessons you think could be learned from the problems that were experienced at Castle Farm, and whether you think there is a limited, moderate or substantial level of assurance available that we won't suffer the same car parking problems when the new swimming pools open next year.
Thank you, Councillor Dixon, for that. Indeed, we met earlier on the car parking and it was a success story. A very popular venue, the leisure centre, the football pitches, Saturday morning. Working together seems to have worked really well and found a good resolution, and long may that last. I think your question is really about the swimming pool, though, and that car park. I have concerns. If we can encourage more people to go there by cycle or walking and the likes, then all the better. Not such an easy sell. I'll work with the team, see what is available, see if it's going to be good enough, see when the pinch points are, and see how they can be managed. But working together, I'm sure that that can be overcome. Thank you.
Sorry, you have
If I have a supplementary
Okay.
for Councillor Sinnott, I just wonder whether now, 6 months before the swimming pools open, it might be a good idea to put in place a plan B rather than having, as we did with Castle Farm, wait 18 months or so before we finally came up with a solution that worked.
Your suggestion is warmly welcomed, and I'll happily take that up. Thank you.
Councillor King,
Could I
you want to
just
comment?
comment on that? Thank you, Chair. We don't yet have a date for opening of the pool. We do have an approximate date for the contractors finishing, but as you can imagine, that there could be quite some gap between those two. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor King and Councillor Dixon. Councillor Kate Dixon, question.
Mayor, and I have another question for Councillor Melrose, please. My question is, how many families with children or pregnant women are WDC housing in temporary accommodation this week? And have any of these been in this accommodation for more than 6 weeks? And just to follow on for that as well, can I have assurances that when these families are moved into temporary accommodation, their schools, health visitors, GPs, midwives and other support professionals are notified, and that ways to access these support services are considered in placing these families?
Thank you, Councillor Dixon, and thank you for advance so I was able to get the stats for you for this meeting. So we have a total of 37 households, which include children or pregnant women in temporary accommodation. Of those, we have 14 households in bed and breakfast accommodation, but none have been longer than 6 weeks. This is a key performance measure which we monitor each month, and it is monitored by the housing team. The Housing Options Officer provides initial advice and support at the point of placement. Once placed, a household are allocated a homeless support officer who advise on support available, and they support accessing the services. So what we've also discussed today, Councillor Dixon, around that charter, and I'd welcome to take that further up as well.
Is that okay, Councillor Dixon? Yeah, thank you. Councillor Payne, Josh Payne. Any question?
Thank you, Chair. I've got one question, please, for Councillor King, which flows from the Cabinet report provided in July on Leamington Town Centre transformation. Parts of that report discuss the proposed pedestrianisation of Leamington Town Centre and the movement of bus stops, which would be necessary as part of those plans. And the report mentions at various points the liaison that's going on with the private bus companies. So completely appreciate that some of those discussions will be led by the bus team at the County Council, but from our point of view as a district council spending a lot of money on this, I wanted to ask, please, what is the administration doing to guide those discussions and to try and ascertain the perspective of the private bus companies, for instance, on any objections they have to the plans? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Payne, and thanks for letting me see the question in advance. Public transport comes within the County Council remit, and they do have a team with whom we are working closely. The bus companies have fairly tight parameters within which they will consider changes to existing routes and stops. And the County Council team are familiar with these and other aspects of this discussion that have to be taken into consideration. However, that said, this is a joint council project, County Council, ourselves and Leamington Town Council, and we frequently consult jointly on matters such as these. We are fortunate that the County Council lead is very familiar with Leamington, its public transport to and from and around the town. Each political group has representation on the Transformation Board, and those representatives will have more detailed information on all matters concerning this project. It's fair to say that proposals have already been submitted to the bus companies, and they are judging them at the moment, and will come back to us shortly with their suggestions and approval or not, as the case may be. Thank you.
Thank you. A quick follow-up to that. Residents need decent public transport, and certainly in the ward I represent, the quality of bus service provision is probably the biggest single issue that's raised with me, whether it's Covington or other parts of the ward, such as Baggington or Stoneleigh. Would you agree with me that the private bus companies are more likely to maintain a good standard of service if we communicate effectively with them and do everything that we can to address possible objections they might have? Because that should mean that going forward, it's more difficult for those private companies to claim that they've been confronted with unpredictable parts of a project that they find it awkward to work with. So it's just a plea really to keep channels of communication going so that we're keeping the private bus companies on board with the plans.
Yes, I hear you, and in all matters around something like this situation, what we're trying to achieve in Leamington, communication with all key stakeholders is really crucial. So we have that dialogue ongoing, it has to be said, through the County Council team, but also at the same time with Chiltern Railways, because they're being brought into the same project, if you like. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Hales, your question.
Thank you, Chair. And just to keep Councillor King busy, my first question is to him. First of all, to thank Councillor King, we recently held a meeting with Keep Hutton Station Rural and also the ward councillors, along with Mr Clark, and just thank him for attending that meeting, which I think went down really well with the residents and also with the group there. I thought some very good discussion points there. I couldn't stay for all of it, unfortunately, before he says that. But thank you for your time in terms of doing that. My question is that following on from that is, at one of the parish council meetings last night, it was raised around, could we host a meeting with the three parish councils that are involved, so with Hatton, Shrewley, and also with Buce Honley. So I was wondering, would he be willing to arrange that in the next 2 or 3 months, along with the ward councillors as well, just to have those discussions and just to keep residents informed around a big development coming forward?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I consider it a really important part of progressing the plan. As much as I address the Councillor Payne, we can't proceed with this, particularly with the parish councils, where the effect on them is going to be greater probably than any of us living in the centre of our towns. We have to keep that communication, and I will give whatever time is necessary to make that easier. Sorry.
Thank you very much. And then my second question is just to Councillor Melrose. So I know she mentioned it in her statement, so thank you very much. In terms of the Homes England consultation that took place at the Tilt Yard on Monday, and thank you for the statement she made there. I suppose it's just a question in terms of the fact that it seems to have created far more questions that have come out, certainly to me locally, and why I understand that Homes England obviously run that consultation. There's been far more questions from residents and locals around that. So I suppose it's a question in terms of could we look to hold a meeting, and I'm not knocking the Tilt Yard pub as it's my local, in terms of doing that. Yeah, that's it now. I won't get my Pike Camden. Anyway, but could we look to arrange it maybe in a venue maybe that could be slightly larger rather than in terms of where it was at Tilt Yard, and probably with a better time frame, giving residents a short period of time that we gave them, I think has created far more questions and maybe misgivings in terms of what the council's trying to do. So if that could be arranged, it'd be very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Hales, and giving me the heads up that this was coming. So yes, I'm more than welcome to have a resident public meeting. I think if we just picking the time and place, but I'm sure we could work out the details. We have had a lot more questions since the Homes England. I'm sure your inbox is as full as mine and Councillor Williams. with that, the frequently asked questions have been updated from some of the questions we're seeing that are repetitive, sort of like what does affordable mean, what does, you know, social housing mean. We've heard, you know, are we having a care home? I won't admit the other rumours, I could be here all night, but we've tried to update it so at least then you can signpost people to that information. And I'm meeting with the Kenilworth Town Councillors next week to discuss with members around Kenilworth school sites. But yeah, I'm more welcome a resident meeting.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Barton, do you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, one question for Councillor Sinnott in a minute, but I'd just like to make a comment on Councillor Billiard's statement. I find myself in the awkward position...
Sorry, Councillor Barton, we question only, please.
Yeah, Councillor Billiard.
You're asking question, okay.
Yeah, I'll come back to Councillor Sinnott in a minute. I've lost my train of thought now. Comment on Councillor Billiard's statement. I find myself in the position of congratulating the Warwick District Council events team. I thought they did an excellent job at the Diwali light switch on, but I'd actually like to call out Charlie Sabin for VE and VJ. If it wasn't for him, then VE and VJ would not have happened, the beacon lighting. So please pass on my thanks to Charlie Sabin. Councillor Sinnott, many thanks for the cross-party working at the MOP on Saturday. It was thoroughly enjoyable.
Sorry, Councillor Barton. Councillor Billiard needs to reply to that one.
Thank you, Councillor Barton. I'll pass that message on to Charlie and the events team.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Councillor Sinnott, thank you for the cross-party working on the at the MOP on Saturday. But for our YouTubers, could you just enlighten me a bit more on the blockage at with the flies, etc.? You mentioned there was a blockage, I think. Did you in your statement?
I did.
Could you just expand on that a little bit for me, please? Not personal blockage, I meant the blockage at the plant.
I'm afraid I can't give you any more detail on that. I'll happily share with you outside. I've had an update today and I've been in conversations, but I don't know the specifics of it, but I'll happily share whatever I've got with you. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Margrave.
Thank you. My question is for Councillor Roberts. Before I took up office of Chairman of the Council, I was told that the Chairman gets to nominate a charity to support during his or her year. And I asked if I could support two, and I chose Martin Hospice and a charity close to my family, the Multiple System Atrophy Trust. And this was okayed, and it was explained that the money that the Chairman gets comes from the CREM, the metals recycling, and it's about 12k, which is quite a lot, really. I was quite surprised, quite a lot of money from the metals, so that's about 6k each, and that's what I announced when I became chairman. And fast forward to March this year, and I get asked to go to a cheque presentation to Martin Hospice. So I said, well, what happened to MSA? Silence. And it seems that the officers decided to give it all to Martin Hospice, and eventually the reason transpired that that's all that the recycling company would do. But I was promised that it would get sorted, and it all went quiet again. And then moments before the annual meeting, I was told, don't worry, it'll be sorted, they'll get the money. And I thought about a cheque, and they haven't had the money. So that's a bit worrying. So my question to Councillor Roberts is, why have they not had the money? And when will they have the money? And what's gone wrong?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Margrave, for the question, sending it in advance, and also highlighting me of the situation that the payment hadn't been received by your charity. As you have seen by email today, the officer who was looking at this has sent an email explaining of an administrative error and is very apologetic. I've spoken to that officer and they are sincerely apologetic that that payment didn't go through. It's now been sorted and the payment will be with your charity next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Margrave. Councillor Whiteman.
Thank you, Chair. So my question is for Councillor Sinnott in relation to the part of your speech where you reference the very long-running flies and smells issue in Whitnash. So as you will recall, you and I have historically spent many unhappy hours meeting and speaking with affected residents and being unable to offer them anything in the way of a permanent solution. As a district councillor with a particular and passionate interest in issues that affect residents' well-being and quality of life, I was absolutely delighted to hear you earlier reference being on the verge of implementing permanent solutions. From our discussions with affected residents, I think we know what a lot of them would determine to be the optimal permanent solution to this particular unpleasant issue. But I suspect that what you're referring to as permanent solutions and their proposals are not the same treatment. But on behalf of those residents, against a backdrop of such a long-running and unpleasant issue, can I just seek an assurance from you, in the light of what you've said, that to the best of your knowledge and understanding, the solutions that you describe as permanent and which are on the verge of implementation will be just that, permanent solutions? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. How far can I go? It's kind of a story that's unfolding at the moment. Now, it's the raising of this topic, it's the continual pressure from WDC officers who aren't actually responsible for the licensing of the site, but they maintain their presence, working with the EA and a change of personnel. That has got us to this position. Now, I'm a little bit mindful. Online, there were posts about the smells coming back. We have the green shoots, I called it, but we're not there yet. When the residents are happy, I'll be happy. And when they say permanent, I'll take permanent. But I don't want to call it too soon, because we know how these things can go. So I will keep pushing until there is a permanent solution. But thank you for the question.
Thank you for the answer.
Thank you. Councillor Chris Knight.
Thank you, Chair. This one is for Councillor Melrose. Recently, I've been contacted by several residents who live in Newbrook, Westbrook, and Kennedy Square regarding the ongoing issue of parking. Could you give us an update and what step you'll be taking to address it?
Thank you for that question. So this week our officers have sent out a consultation which is called Your Feedback on Parking in Your Area Needed, and it's looking at permitted parking for Newbrook, Westbrook and Kennedy Square. It's a 10-minute survey, so that has gone out via text message. Paper copies have been printed. It's on display boards around there, the blocks of flats. And as well by email, the ways of communicating to, and we need for the survey to be completed, and we will review the survey and finding the results, then make a decision of what we do around parking and then 3 blocks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. You have a supplementary?
Can I ask one more question to Councillor Roberts?
Yes, sure.
Councillor Roberts, you know I'm very active in the local campaign with Victoria Park, with Field and Trust. Can you give us an update on that, the progress? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Knight, for the question and sending it in advance. It's vitally important we protect all our green spaces. And very recently, Cabinet had a briefing on Fields and Trust from officers. And from that briefing, Cabinet have asked officers to carry on the work with Fields and Trust, looking at all our green spaces, and to bring forward a paper to Cabinet in the first quarter of next year.
Thank you for your update.
Thank you. Councillor Dre.
I have a question for Councillor Roberts. Sorry I haven't put it in advance to you. I've been doing walkabout around in my ward quite a lot, and I'm just dismayed about all the dog mess that I have been seeing around, and have seen a lot of complaints on Nextdoor and Facebook all about it around Warwick. And as you know, that can all spread diseases. It's a very antisocial behaviour thing to do for irresponsible dog owners. we could possibly make quite a lot of revenue from this if people are caught in the act. And as you know, Warwick is a historic town. It's got a reputation to keep up, and it's not very nice for visitors to come into contact with all this mess that they're seeing around in the streets. And I was just wondering what could be done about it.
Thank you very much for the question, Councillor Drake. Yeah, people who leave dog mess on the streets or roads, you know, absolutely terrible. It's not nice for anybody. This is an enforcement issue, and I actually would hand over to my colleague, Councillor Sinnott, here, to finish that question off, or that answer off.
Thank you, Councillor Dray and Councillor Roberts, for that pass. I think, like all the other problems we have, it has to be data-driven. If it's reported, if we know about it, we can maybe take actions with it. We have a dog warden, we have a public space protection orders. If we have the intelligence, if we can collect the real picture, we can possibly do something about it, do some enforcement. I'm not going to make any promises because I'm sure there's lots of other areas of the district. Obviously, Warwick is close to my heart, but it's the whole district's approach. And if you can let us have the details and particular hotspots, I'll happily take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one is Councillor Davidson.
Thank you, Chair. My question is to Councillor King, but it's quite long. Is it okay if I ask it in 3 parts, just to make it easier for residents to follow along to the response?
Yes, sure.
We recognise the urgent need to support the transition to renewable energy in response to the climate emergency, but note with concern that current planning policy lacks sufficient guidance on the sit-in and coordination of solar farm developments, which leads to speculative proposals that may impact valuable landscapes, communities, and high-grade agricultural land. So could you please explain what WDC are doing to ensure that the South Warwickshire Local Plan addresses the issues regarding solar farms, which include, and then this is sort of question 1, how we plan to assist in the identification and development of suitable sites for renewable energy, and is there anything in the South Warwickshire Local Plan draft about prevention of the massing of solar sites, example, placing a whole bunch of installations next to each other?
Thank you, Councillor Davison. I apologise for being over-eager earlier. Problem I have to deal with. We have consultants engaging consultants bioregional to look at this specific problem and to identify land which is more suitable or less suitable for that, and that work will also include the issue of massing. They will be looking favourably at ground-mounted solar energy proposals which address the issues of quality of land and the quality of positioning and net biodiversity, all in one consultation exercise. So lower quality agricultural land, grades 3B, 4 and 5, will be looked at more favourably for these sites because of their carbon sequestration potential being lower and the biodiversity value being lower. Conversely, higher grade agricultural land, grades 1, 2 and 3A, if the scale of the development does not restrict the agricultural use of the land, will also be considered. That if is a very big one for obvious reasons. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and I think it's actually answered one of my supplementary questions. So I'll just ask, how are we ensuring that proposals work for the whole community? I did see something in draft policy D, but I wasn't sure how we would actually implement that.
The draft policy includes this suggestion that proposals will be supported which provide for a community benefit in terms of either profit sharing or proportion of community ownership, or they deliver local social and community benefits. Developers would need to bring such a plan forward in discussion with the local community and present something along those lines.
And then my final part, is there anything in the South Warwickshire local plan that ensures that consistent renewable energy requirements are applied to extensions of existing developments as well as to new builds, so that all significant proposals consider solar or other renewable options?
The requirements to meet our own net zero DPD affects all new building work since that DPD has been ratified. Adding to that, the forthcoming revised building regulations will mean that few buildings will conform without the use of solar panels. Although solar panels are not yet compulsory on new buildings in the UK, the government plans to introduce a mandate for England by 2027. I should add here that at the moment, applications for the construction of distribution warehouses and the like, these buildings will in any case have to conform to our own net zero DPD. The need to transition to renewable energy is clearly embedded in the SWLP. It's part of our strategic objective number 6, which seeks to promote low carbon and renewable energy generation in the right locations. I expect the local plan to include solar farm requirements, such as areas where they will not be considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor King, they were really lengthy answers, and can I ask if you can email it to all councillors, please? Thank you. Councillor Milton, please.
Thank you, Chair. And a question for Councillor Sinnott. Apologies for not sending it in advance, but Councillor Dre has somewhat inspired me on the subject of dog mess. You talked actually in your answer to Councillor Dre about data. And by my calculation, we have approximately 30,000 dogs in Warwick District. As I understand it, we have one dog warden who works part-time. Do you think that's sufficient cover?
No. I can expand on that. No, but are we going to get more? Do we need more? There's priorities, and you know, but I would like more.
Then as supplementary, can I ask what conversations you're having with the portfolio holder for resources about getting this into the budget for this year?
You have just started a conversation between the two of us, I feel. Thank you.
Any other questions, please? Councillor Barton.
On the same point, and I don't know which portfolio holder, but I do come across sometimes bins that haven't been emptied for a period and dog poo bags being piled up around said bin.
Thank you, Councillor Barton. That comes back to me because it's bins. I'm not sure I want to say this, but please, if you have anything like that, do email me. Use the form, send a picture, and use the forms we have so the contract services team can get our contractors out to get those bins emptied, because they could be emptied. And if we need to change the timings on those, how often they're emptied, then we can look at that as well. Because if they're being emptied, then filled up straight away. You know, so something we can all do and look at, but yeah, please do get in contact.
So you have a supplement?
Coming back on that, do you get feedback from your bin emptying, collecting persons saying, look, this bin gets filled up a bit too more regular than we actually empty it? So I'm sure they don't want, the one, I can't even remember where it was tonight I passed. I'm sure they don't want to go to a bin that's got lots of nappy sacks and with dog mess in it around the bin. So do you get feedback from the people that empty the bins?
You'll be pleased to know that currently our officers and our contractors are working together to review the whole collection and street cleansing review at the moment. So yes, we do get feedback, and it's, you know, we try and change and amend wherever we can. Obviously, changes to contracts might cost money, so we've got to be wary of that.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, move to the next item 9. Licensing and Regulatory Committee we are considering a recommendation from Licensing and Regulatory Committee in respect of statutory review of statement of licensing policy revised 2026-2031. Can I ask Council Government to propose? Thank you. May I ask for seconder, please? Anybody seconding? Council Martin, thank you. Any speakers? No? Okay. Can I ask to take a vote, please? Are all in favor? Thank you. The next item is Cabinet reports. We are considering the recommendation from Cabinet meeting held on 16th of October 2025, which were shared via excerpt of the public minutes in respect of item 4, Annual Treasury Management Report 2024-25. Can members confirm they have reviewed the recommendations? Can I have a proposal? Second, please. Councillor Chilvers, Councillor King. Any speakers? No? Can I take a vote on this? On those in favor? Thank you. Item 5, fee and charges 26-27. Can members confirm they have reviewed the recommendation? Can I have a proposal? That one. Councillor Chilvers. Seconder, Councillor King. Can I take the vote on this? Sorry.
Sorry, Chair, through you, I draw members' attention to the addendum which was circulated in front of them this evening, which I think Councillor Chilvers was just proposing as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Leach. This is a minor change which is on the back page, clarifying the pavement licences. There was an error. You can compare and contrast between the two pavement licensing regimes there. There was just an error in the 6 tables or more or 5 tables or less description. So I'd like to include that in the recommendations as laid out.
Thank you, Councillor Chilvers. Any speakers? Councillor Milton.
Thank you, Chair. So we reviewed this in some detail at the Budget Review Group the other week, which I was privileged to chair. There's obviously quite a lot of detail in here. I think what we were concerned about as members was that actually we haven't got the whole picture here. I know Councillor Chilvers is very keen on his analogies of jigsaws. It feels like we had quite a lot of missing pieces, and those missing pieces really being the parking charges. The reason why that's important for us is that this isn't just about individual fees and charges lines. If we have a discussion and see it about that, we'll end up with a very skewed picture. It's actually about our medium-term financial strategy and the impact that it has on that. So without all those complete pieces, it's very difficult for us to actually judge this for what it is. So I think personally this evening I'll be abstaining on this vote.
Thank you, Councillor Paul.
Thank you, Chairman. Witness councillors are already having complaints from residents about the increase to charge green bin waste. I think it's a rise too far. I think it's false economy. I think we'll actually have less people signing up. So I want to place on record that we're not happy. We think it's too much. I always get cross that for about 4 months of the year I cannot fill it up or put anything in it because you don't in the winter months. But I've been told we can't change that to the contract. It's covered across the whole 12 months. So I think we're going to, I know reasons were given why it's gone up, but I think this is false economy and we're going to lose income because people will not pay it.
Thank you. Councillor Matiski.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I was going to basically say the same has already been said, that there is no fees and charges for car parks, which doesn't give a complete picture, and the green bin charges as well. That's been brought up, and I think some of the reasons given for that has been the downturn in uptake, and maybe that's going to be as a result of the increased fees that have already gone on. It reminds me of the old times of British Rail. They kept saying, we've got less passengers, we're going to put the prices up. You know, it seems counterintuitive. But the other thing I was going to bring up as well is how these charges have actually come about. And in particular, when I look at the photocopying charges, there just doesn't seem to be any rhyme or logic. It looks like somebody has plucked these figures out of the air. And why do I say that? Well, for those of you who understand paper sizes go up in size. So an A3 is twice the size of an A4 in area. If we look at an A4 single-sided, to keep it simple, the charge has gone up from 20p to 30p. If we look at an A3 single-sided, it's gone up from 30p to 50p. An AO is 8 times the area of an A3. So if we took an A3 single-sided piece of paper at 50p, if you multiplied that by 8, the cost should be £4. But it's already at £30 and 30p. Well, I can walk into any printers and get it at a fraction of that price. And when you look at the price it's gone up from £30.30 to £50. Similar to the bin charges, you're not going to get anybody coming in to get an AO sheet of paper. These figures are just plucked out of the air. You've got the AO colour has gone up from £96 and 80p up to £100, just a minimal £3.20 increase, yet AO plain has gone up 60% and £20 addition. The figures just do not add up. I don't know who's come up with them, but they do not reflect reality, they do not reflect cost, and basically we're just ripping off the residents. And for that reason, when I look at those figures, that they just completely made up and have no relevance to each other, I cannot support these fees and charges, and therefore I'll be voting against.
Thank you, Councillor Madisky. Councillor Hales.
Thank you, Chair. Without copying what was said then, that's quite good, wasn't it? Without copying what was said then, thank you very much. Just in terms of, I suppose it's a view going back to Councillor Milton there, in terms of the fact that for the fees and charges papers to come forward, I know we said it as scrutiny, and Councillor Chilvers did answer very comprehensively. I suppose just a plea in terms of that for next year, can we ensure that we have it all together as one document, just because it's a lot easier for a scrutiny committee to review and understand in terms of the implications all the way through the budget rather than almost piecemeal. So I appreciate in terms of what Councillor Chilvers said, and thank you for that. But maybe for next year we could have this as one document rather than being segmented in different ones. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Bode.
Yes, coming back to green bins. I always thought you ought to compost at home and not have any bins, but here we have bins. And it really is, what arrangements the portfolio holder making if there's a downturn in take-up of the green bins to collect the green bins, remove them from people's property?
Any other speakers? Councillor Chilvers.
Yes, thank you very much for those comments. I'll just sort of take them in turn. I don't accept that it wasn't possible to properly assess the fees and charges, just even though parking and everything else was separate. As I said in overview and scrutiny, wouldn't be my preference, but I think it's really important to align the parking strategy to parking fees and charges. But the reason why I think it is possible to do kind of a fair assessment on where we are is we very, very carefully and clearly have ring-fenced the amount of money that we expect to receive from parking and that we expect parking income to deliver, which allows us to also look at what we're expecting to receive from everything else. And we have set that out very clearly. So it wouldn't have been my preference, and Councillor Hales, I definitely want us to be returning to doing everything together. However, I still think it allows us, and I think Overview and Scrutiny did a very good job of interrogating the key elements of fees and charges. And actually what we have now is an opportunity over the coming few weeks with parking, which is our biggest income generator, to really do a deep dive on the fees and charges and give it all the focus that it deserves. Starting with the briefing on Tuesday, running through to Cabinet towards the end of November. On green bin waste and the green bin charges, I don't want to come into politics to put the price of things up. I don't think anybody does. We inherited an assumption that fees and charges income would raise 10% year on year on year. We have remodelled that. We've put money aside to cover for that. And where we've managed to get to is to reduce that, what would have been a 10% increase, down to 8.5% increase. And we will continue to try and reduce that, that overall income increase in future years as well. Councillor Fout raises a good question, and I think Councillor Mateki did, about that elasticity of demand. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know exactly the impact that putting the price up by 8.5% will have, apart from to say we've gathered as much information as we can. We've tried to look at other fees around the country, and remember that the average fee for a green bin around the country is £62. And ours will still be considerably below that average. But you're right, Councillor Fout, and Councillor Mateki, we will be monitoring this very closely through the year, and also, as I say, looking throughout in the middle of next year to look at that green bag, the green bag option, to introduce that, to try and get that flexibility for residents. I'm not going to comment specifically on photocopy charges. Happy to take any specific questions away, but I would say that actually we've worked really hard, and officers have worked really hard to improve the way that we set and approach what fees we set our fees and charges at. So we're not just slapping on a 3% or 5% or 10% increase, but we are actually working out, okay, well, sometimes income needs to come down, like we reduced the cost of bulky item collection, and that was a massive success. We ended up with more income overall and fewer items being fly tipped. So there has been an improvement in the way that we approach that, and we will continue to do that, but I'm afraid I can't comment specifically on photocopying. So all in all, I want to thank officers for the work that they've done in putting through these fees and charges to get us to this point, and to integrating it with their wider service plans. And I'd like to recommend this paper to you as laid out, including the addendum that you've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chilvers. Councillor King, do you want to add anything?
Can I have an answer to my question?
Collection of unwanted green bins. I know that Councillor Roberts may want to add to me, but I know that there is a system already in place, and certainly in my area, the odd one that has needed to be collected. I've just contacted contract services to arrange for that. I don't know if Councillor Roberts wants to add anything further.
No, nothing to add. There is a system in place, so if people want to get rid of their green bins, they just need to contact the contract services team, and that could be arranged.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Barton?
No.
Sorry, now we need to go to vote on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I ask who in favour?
19. Yeah. No.
Those against? Abstentions, please. That's carried. Thank you. Item 6, review of Warwick District Council members' allowance scheme. Can members confirm they have reviewed the recommendations? Can I have a proposer? Councillor Melrose, Councillor King, Councillor Skander,
Councillor Davison. It was.
Councillor Davison, yeah? Sorry, do you want to say, Councillor? Any speakers, please? Councillor Fall.
Thank you. I can't remember how many years I've been saying a group is 2, not 4. And I'm really pleased that others agreed with me. For the first time ever, even though I do exactly the same as every other group leader in this room, as will Councillor Whiteman now as well, we will, and it's not about the money, it's really not about the money, but we are recognised as a group. So thank you for all those who supported this. We are in a unique position where we'll never probably be anything more than 3, because we only have 3 seats in Whitnash. So as long as the Residents Association hold those 3 seats, you know, we will never be able to become 4. We have thought about taking over this, but, you know, at the moment we've got enough to do. So just thank you for being recognised as a group and getting the same treatment as all the other group leaders do.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No. Can I take a vote on that? Those in favour? Against? It's carried. Item 7, parental leave policy for councillors. Can members confirm they have reviewed the recommendation? Can I ask the proposer? Councillor Davison, any seconders? Councillor King? Any speakers, please? Councillor Fall?
Not something I need now. I have done in the past, but I do welcome this. Anything we can do to make life easier for younger councillors, both male and female, should be applauded and awarded. So I do welcome it. Hopefully it'll encourage more people to stand as councillors. And thank you to Councillor Kate Dixon, who pointed out the facts and figures about actually when you're pregnant and when you're on maternity leave, etc. And I believe it has been altered to reflect that. So, yes, good decision. I'm pleased it's here.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No. Can I ask who is in favour? Those against? Item 11, public and press. Sorry, Councillor Philip and Councillor Phillips left, so that's noted. Item 11, public, consider resolving that under Section 100A of Local Government Act 1972, that the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following item by reason of likely disclosure of exempt information within the paragraph Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, following the Local Government Order 2006.
We've missed one.
Which one?
We have, thank you, Councillors Davison and Melrose. I'm sure the rest of Council spotted that you haven't done appointments to committees. So, it's not on our notes, I've missed it off. If you ask Councillor Davison, I'm sure he'd propose it in terms of appointments to committees.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sure you can all see that Councillor Hazelwood is now been appointed to the Planning Committee to fill our vacancy, And in terms of the South Warwickshire Local Plan Advisory Group, I'm delighted that Councillor Armstrong has agreed to join that group, joining Councillors Bode, Claire Whiteman, Collins and Falp. Between them, they've decided that Councillor Falp will be the co-chair of that group. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I left my microphone on. Sorry, Chairman. That does need a proposer and a seconder because it's an appointment. Yeah.
And then it needs to go to the vote.
Can I ask who in favour? Anyone against? Thank you. Item 11, Public and Press, to consider resolving under Section 100A of Local Government Act 72 that the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following item by the reason of likely disclosure of exempt information within the paragraph Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 following the Local Government Order 2006 as set out in agenda. Can I ask for a proposal? Mr. Melrose, seconder, Councillor King. Thank you. Confidential. Sorry, can I take a vote on this? Who in favour? Against? Thank you. So item 13, common seal. The last item of business on the agenda is the fixing of common seal as set out in agenda. I will propose this from the chair, and I can see Councillor Melrose indicating the second. Is everything in favor? Those in favor? Thank you very much. I'll call this meeting closed. Thank you very much.